yeah, that was gonna be my positive. Was she was amazing. It was cool, a cool Knives Out reunion between the two of them, and
Yes.
my goodness, she was so cool. I can't believe that she was not in this movie anymore. I mean, I think she
Yeah.
was. I think she's better than the 007 lady. I'm like, what is going on here? She is stealing the show when she was in
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, that was that Anna De Armas,
Yeah.
and oh man, I would give up my left pinky, my right nut, and $7 to be with her.
With your best friends Trey Sterling and Matt, the film Schmucks.
Hey everybody, it's the Film Schmucks here, -1 today. Uh, it's just me and Trey today because Matty Poo did not go see the new James Bond movie, No Time to Die.
He
Now
boycotted.
he boycotted the movie, yeah, because he just doesn't like misogynistic, characters. So that's basically it. No. He just didn't get around to it. But me and Trey are here today to pick up the work. And yeah, so we saw No Time to Die. And Trey, why don't you just get the ball rolling? What do you think about the movie?
I'm gonna tell you this: the first scene, uh, it it said a lot, and what I mean by that is it didn't have a lot to explain. You had to put the pieces together as the movie went on. Obviously,
Yeah,
like I guess they cut to her in the water, and you're, oh, it was her.
yeah,
But I thought it was a good scene. At first, I was like, what is going on? We're starting with this scene,
yeah,
and but I really liked it. I liked the transition, and there's some people from cinema that went to CinemaCon and said they watched the first 13 minutes, and boy, was the first 13 minutes exactly how everybody said it was. It's spectacular.
oh,
Um,
yeah,
my goodness. But yeah, I mean, going off that, I mean, I thought the guy. Let's just go in. Let's just dive in, and I'll get
okay,
back to you.
sure,
The guy with the eyeball.
yeah,
He was goofy. There was no point to him. And then as I was thinking about it today, you can explain how you kind of felt about the movie overall if you want, but
sure,
answer this afterwards, please. From my understanding, at looking back at this movie, did the guy with the eyeball work for Blofeld in the first half and then transition to, I don't even know the main bad guy's name, which is
yeah,
that's the weakness of this movie, by the way.
sure,
Even though it wasn't bad, it was a weakness. So I was really confused because he was there with the eyeball killing all the Spectre people. Like,
yeah.
because he, oh man,
Oh,
got it.
let's,
Oh,
let's see. Oh
got
gosh.
it.
Oh no.
Oh my goodness, we have to restart over. Oh my
No,
goodness.
we're just gonna roll with it.
so, so answer me that. Okay, did he work for Blofeld? I think they kind of explained that. But when did he transition to the new guy? That's what I want to know.
Yeah,
So yeah, tell me how you felt about the movie, and that's my first question.
yeah. Okay, so overall, I really enjoyed this movie a lot. I think it's probably below Skyfall and Casino Royale, but it's not where anywhere down to the level of Spectre and Quantum of Solace. So I think it's a really good movie that opens strong, and for like a 2 hour 45 minute movie, the pacing is is pretty strong overall. There's some lulls in the middle for sure, um, but I do think the pacing overall impressed me enough because I thought it would have more lulls considering it's almost 3 hours long. Um, so yeah, overall, just great action, um, great practical effects with some of the stunt work, good cinematography. Yeah, I think this movie definitely was beautiful, like just the way it looked, the way it was shot, and uh, it was kind of emotional at the end. I have to say, more so than I thought it would be for a James Bond movie. Um, but yeah, but to answer your question, I think the movie was not clear about when that guy kind of transitioned. The only thing I have to say is that he wasn't a target whenever that initial attack happened, with all those Spectre members dying of of the nanobots. So I assume he was already a part of Rami Malek's faction because he wasn't a target, even though he was a part of Spectre. So that's the only thing I can go off of. But the movie doesn't make it very
Yeah.
clear. So yeah,
I mean, I think with that character, they tried so hard because they've always had, well, not always, but they've had like a body man or
yeah,
the big muscle for the bad guy,
like
and
a
I
Jaws
mean with
character.
the Jaws, yeah, that character. But it so to me, I think this movie tried too hard in that respect, and I think it tried too hard um with the main villain. Gosh, you said his name, Rami Malek.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either, to be
Ah,
honest. Now,
see,
yeah, no. I agree with you that it's a weakness. Like it's a weakness, especially compared to Javier Bardem's villain in Skyfall, and also the villain was Chief in Casino Royale. Like those two villains to me,
Matt Mikkelsen.
Evan Mads Mikkelsen, yeah. Those two characters were very memorable, and I think Rami Malek does a good job with what he's given. I think he's a really solid actor. I
Oh
just
yeah.
think I just think they put his character maybe a little too much in the shadows, and there just wasn't enough material to make it that memorable.
Yeah, so with him, I liked him the first two acts.
Yeah,
And then they tried too hard to make you hate him. Like I thought I find myself in a lot of these reviews and other movies and shows in general, like I'm like, there could have been a better way to do this or do that.
yeah,
Uh like when he like took her child and then took her away, I'm like, oh my! I was like, to me, it was cringe. I'm like, your mother's gotta learn. Like his voice got. I guess I liked his voice. How they, I guess they probably wanted him to do it.
yeah,
I thought, I thought they would try too hard. They weren't trying to, but it came out with them trying to match Javier Bardem's because he had a kind of similar cadence, if you will.
yeah.
Am I right? Do you remember the
Well,
cadence that Javier's character had?
yeah. I mean, I think there are maybe a couple similarities. I think Rami Malek's performance. He's trying to be like a classic Bond villain in a lot of ways.
True.
Um,
Now you say that, yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
So, because like, and it's kind of a fine line because like obviously this is a more gritty Bond, but
Yeah.
they're trying to pay tribute to kind of more campy villains. I feel like, especially with Rami Malek character, there's some campiness a little bit, especially with the poison garden and all that. That's very like kind of classic Bond, especially kind of the more Roger Moore films. I feel like so.
Yeah. The goat to me, but we can debate that later if you want. But uh, so with that character, it was a good like I'll say it wasn't bad, but near so I like the ending with the character, and again, like I was just explaining, I find myself when he poisons him.
Yeah,
Uh, spoiler alert, Bond gets poisoned, and we'll talk about the ending later.
yeah,
I thought there'd be a better way to do it. Like him, like they didn't really explain that he was a trained assassin. Like he could have killed Bond when he was shooting him, like before he poisons him, like because he shoots him in the
yeah,
leg or something like that. And
yeah,
like it was really confusing how they got to him spraying him in the face or whatever happened.
yeah,
Um, so I thought that was not done well. But like I said, I did like a lot of the dialogue with him. It just like I said, at some points they just try too hard, and like you said, it was trying to do a throwback to old villains of the past. And
yeah,
when he has the kid next to him and he throws up the pillow, he's it's like I forgot what he said, something campy. I'm like, what the heck? Like he's surrounded, he's not doing anything at this moment.
yeah.
Like that was unnecessary. Now, unless you have something to add to that.
I mean, yeah, I think it's just one of those things where I think it succeeded more than it failed overall because this movie definitely tried to pack a lot of stuff in, especially when it
Yeah.
came to, you know, kind of paying homage and tribute to a lot of like tropes of the James Bond
Yeah.
franchise. Um, and there are definitely times where I felt like, yeah, maybe that was not necessary, but I do think it succeeded more so than it failed when it came to that.
I
And
agree.
I think obviously they're trying to do everything they can because this is Daniel Craig's last movie. So, and I think that's one of the things that made it succeed overall was it did feel I got kind of emotional not just with the content near the end, but also you feel like, oh, this is it. Like this is a 15-year legacy of Daniel Craig's career as one of the most iconic characters in film history. And
Yeah.
so I think the movie did a great job kind of building up that feeling. Um, so
Yeah. I mean, I'll go kind of go back to your earlier about pacing. I was impressed, like you, with it. Didn't I did feel it because it is a long movie,
oh
but
yeah,
not as much as you normally do. There's one time in the movie, maybe you'll remember it. It's not really a nitpick, but I'm like, I was really kind of taken aback with it. Was the one time with pacing or editing that I really was like, what's going on here? Not what's going on here, but like that was weird. Was when he is on the raft and he's just,
oh okay.
and then the barge shows up, and then it cuts, and he's at his garage in London. I'm like, you come on, really? You could sprinkle in a little bit here, like. Oof. I thought that was really bad. I mean, what, like I said, the rest of it's really, really well done because you don't feel it as much as you normally would with a long movie. But that was kind of a weird cut edit, strange to
Yeah,
me.
yeah. I mean, I guess I see what you're saying. It kind of maybe would have serviced a little bit better if, you know, it showed a couple more steps to him getting to London. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but I'm kind of curious. It was interesting that they brought back uh, Christoph Waltz's character again, and I'm curious what you thought. Like, I think the way he died was a little underwhelming, um, but I do think it was a great scene that he had with Daniel Craig, as far as just two actors, world class actors, just going at it. So, like, what did you think about that part of the
Well,
story?
what I think is one of the best actors that has ever lived with Christoph Waltz. I mean, it's hard to write him in a bad position in a film because
Yeah,
he's gonna work to make it work.
sure.
But what I will say, I've only seen Spectre once. It wasn't bad, and for me, even I've watched Quantum of Solace a couple times, and I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. It's just
Sure.
I think Casino Royale was so good that it
Yeah.
was such a step down. That's why people dislike it so much. And the villain was kind of weird. But
Yeah.
going back to what you were saying about Rami Malek's trying to go do a throwback, Blofeld is a big throwback to old villains too,
Sure.
like how he portrays himself. Uh, his death, I thought it was just like I said, cheesy. And we'll get into nitpicks about this bionic crap where it's so vague that we'll get into that, I mean later. But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was be cool. I thought it was cool because Bond was gonna kill him and he backed off. So he got Bond got what he wanted, and
Yeah.
because this, if we want to dive into it, 5 films that are interlinked, which has never really been done in the Bond franchise.
Yeah.
Uh,
Not to this level, for sure.
because Quantum of Solace is really the only one that's not real. Like from my memory, I don't remember anything other than at the
Well,
beginning. At the beginning,
it's
when they brought the guy at the end back at the beginning, and then they're sprinkling Spectre guy throughout the movie. But the main story with the water and the Mexico guy really didn't have anything to do with his whole arc. unless there is, and I've never watched all four in order, back to back to back, to really
Mhm.
see it. But anyway, going back to the point about how this is a cool 5 movie arc. I mean, it has been hit and miss, and
Yeah.
it's strange that every other one has been really, really good. And and it just goes to show you that good movies can be made, but it's hard. Even with
Yeah.
all the money in the world, one of the biggest franchises ever can falter. You know, I'm not sure where I'm going with this, but I think it's cool that they did this. I'm not sure when they planned it, if it was after the second one or when they were developing the third one with Javier, but
Yeah.
I think it was really cool to kind of go outside the norm for this franchise to make everything connect. And some of the guys we watched, Robert Meyer Burnett, who lives in the dark ages with Star Trek, and he's living in dark ages today with this franchise. God bless him, but he needs to get his head out of his butt.
Well,
I think it's a fresh. I think yes, the number 2 and number 4 could have been done better,
yeah.
but overall, 3 really good to great movies is a success. So what do you think
Well,
about a 5 movie arc? What do you think about them changing it up and making this Daniel Craig Bond all go throughout and all these characters stay throughout?
yeah. Well, it's kind of
Like
crazy.
Felix and
Yeah.
the Felix
Well,
character.
well, I think it's about time because it's been 50 years since Bond's been around, and
Almost,
this
yeah,
is the first.
almost 60.
Yeah.
The, yeah.
This is the first time that there's been a through line through the movies, and
Mhm.
it has closure. If you think
Yep.
about it, I can't really think of. There wasn't really a closure for like Sean Connery's character or Roger Moore. I haven't really seen those movies recently, but as far as I remember, this is the first time that there's an actual like closure ending. There's an
Mhm.
ending, like a
Mhm.
definitive ending. So that's pretty cool. I got to say, it's
Yeah,
pretty cool that we got to this point.
for sure. And then another person we watched, but they were saying how uh the Bond character, he's saying that each anyway, my point is someone said that all these bonds are different bonds. They're 007, but they're different bonds. But
Yeah,
and this may be a theory, something we can talk about if you want. To me, they're all the same character. There's not going to be James Bond 007. Hey, nice to meet you. You're the new James. You're number 007. You're James. Oh, what a coincidence! The last guy was James Bond. This is all the same person. They just have different takes on it. So
yeah. Well,
who I'm calling out is John Campia, who
uh
said that they're all different. And no, they're all there hasn't been 7 people that have been named James Bond that have taken the
yeah.
mantle of 007. It's all the same
Well,
person, just different arcs for them,
yeah.
different
That's what I
creativity.
that, that's one thing I liked about this movie though is the dynamic between James Bond and the girl 007. And I liked how they kind of distinguished the title of 007. You know, I think
And,
they did a
and
great job with that. I really do.
I think that they basically said what I just said, like, because he's like, oh, I'm gonna call 007, and then Bond, like, that's like, yeah,
Yeah.
if it wasn't his real name, he would have gone back to his original name if he wasn't 007, like if they were attached,
Well, in
instead of,
Skyfall, like that debunks that theory because in Skyfall, there's a tombstone
oh, okay,
of his parents. Then it's Bond.
I need to watch.
Yeah.
I do that one.
Yeah.
I
But
don't remember. Like, gosh, I think I forgot the director. Didn't the director do the last 3? The same director, or he at least did Spectre and Skyfall, right?
yeah, Sam Mendes did Skyfall Inspector, and then
Yeah.
No Time to Die was done by Cary Fukunaga.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I think Sam and I'm not sure what happened with Spectre, because one of those things, like with Batman vs Superman, the trailer hyped it up so much, it looked so good.
Yeah.
With Spectre, it looks so good, and it fell flat. Maybe I'm not sure it's because of the endings. I vaguely, like I said, I vaguely remember it wasn't memorable like Casino Royale.
Yeah.
The nut shots by my Mads Mikkelsen, Javier's performance in general,
Yeah.
uh, and and if this one has a lot of memorable moments, the longest Bond movie ever. The first 13 minutes were powerful, especially the car, him with the classic Aston Martin, my dream car, uh, with the miniguns.
Well,
It's
the way he
badass.
the way he used the rope, to jump off the bridge,
Yep.
like
Yeah.
that was a stunt double doing that. That was like a real practical effect, which is really
Oh,
really
really?
crazy. Yeah, I
That's
think so. It didn't look CGI to me. So, um,
like,
but
I mean, they put a lot of money in these movies, and some classic Bond lines. Maybe you'll remember, maybe ones that I forgot, but the one that obviously is cheesy, but I thought was kind of funny was at the near the end when he's like, uh, I I blew his mind, and he,
yeah,
I
well,
thought that was,
okay.
uh, yeah.
Yeah. So, that character with the eyeball, he was kind of goofy a little bit.
Yep.
He was kind of cheesy, but I love the way Bond killed him though, with the EMP watch. And and by the way, that was a great action sequence. It was a one shot where he just goes up
Oh,
the staircase and just starts
really?
shooting. Oh yeah, it didn't cut the entire time. Um,
Wow, that's awesome.
and just like it was great camera work, and the action was tense, and yeah, just
I mean, yeah, this franchise, it has, I think, its strength is a part of its weakness is weakness goes with its weaker movies, but its strength is it's the freedom of creativity.
yeah.
Um, Kind of like I'm not sure. I should have done some research about how much freedom Sam Mendes. I'm not sure if there's ever been a director that's done back to backs. I Maybe there have been, but that was the first time I ever kind of, oh, he's come back to the second one. Yay! So I'm not sure why it faltered in Spectre, because Sam Mendes obviously a great director, 1917, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
amazing director. So Skyfall, brilliant. Um, yeah, this franchise, like I said, has its strength is its weakness, but like you're saying, this movie has a lot more positives for it. Like its strength is
Yeah.
its creativity, and I'm not sure who put this all together. This 5 art movie series, basically for Daniel Craig, but good on him for doing, like you said, like it's fresh. It's good that they did this because we
Yeah.
needed that. It was kind of bland, like with Pierce Brosnan, the previous one. He
Well,
going,
Die Another Day.
the bond. What's that?
Well, Die Another Day was not a good finish to Pierce Brosnan's career, even though
Oh,
there's some redeeming qualities in that movie. But
I like I like that movie.
it,
Maybe it's a guilty pleasure. I like it. That's just
yeah,
me.
I would classify as a guilty pleasure because I can watch it and I can have fun with it,
Yeah,
but there's some pretty corny, some pretty bad stuff in that.
I haven't seen it for a while, but I remember watching a couple times, and the Aston Martin or Aston Martin, the that that new look to it, and he had the
Yeah.
spikes and tires in the ice cave, which was kind of cheesy,
Mhm.
but I
Yeah.
mean there was a lot of good gadgets in that series of films per Pierce. But yeah, each film was so individual,
Yeah.
and I know we're harping on it, but I like that they did
Well,
this, and
couple things I wanted to say. I'll give a couple weaknesses and I'll give a couple positives. Okay. So
uh,
for me, some of the weaknesses in this one, and it's maybe more so kind of an opinion overall on the whole 5 film arc, but I like the actor who plays Q. I like the actor who plays uh, Moneypenny. Um,
yeah.
I like them a lot. I just think there wasn't enough with them that
Yeah, Ben Schwartz. That'd be cool. It would have been cool to have more because he was in a lot, in not a lot, but more in the first three. He was
yeah,
in them more. Yeah,
yeah. So those are kind of the weaknesses a little bit. I feel like kind of looking back at everything. And I think the gadgets, even though some were cool, I do kind of wish they had a little bit more fun with the gadgets.
there were
And
some cool gadgets in this one though. There were some
that's
cool
true.
ones.
There's some good ones, but there's some. I mean, I wish they would incorporate some of the gadgets, like from some of the video games that I used to play as a kid. But we'll see if they do that eventually. But anyway, so those are a couple like little nitpicks I have. And some of the positives that I can think about is I did like the girl who played 007. I thought she was really good. Um,
Yeah, she was
and
good.
I thought it was a good back and forth between her and Daniel Craig about him kind of being too old for the job, and there's some funny one-liners. Like, does it bother you that they use 007? So that those are really funny moments, and it was kind of sweet when she gave back the title for his last mission. Um,
Yeah.
and then she wasn't in it a whole lot, but Ana de Armas as the CIA operative in Cuba. Well, first of all, drop dead gorgeous. Let's get that out of the way. Uh, she, but her action scenes I thought really well done. I think she did a great job with the little time that she was given, and it was just kind of funny. She's like, "I had 3 weeks training," and you just
Yeah.
you don't know, you don't think she's going to be a badass, and she does some badass things. So yeah, those are
Yeah,
some positives.
that was gonna be my positive was she was amazing. It was cool, a cool Knives Out reunion between the two of them, and
Yes.
my goodness, she was so cool. I can't believe that she was not in this movie anymore. I mean, I think she
Yeah.
was I think she's better than the 007 lady. I'm like, what is going on here? She is stealing the show when she was in
Yeah.
it. Like, yeah, that was that Anna de Armas.
Yeah.
And oh man, I
Yeah.
would give up my left pinky, my right nut, and $7 to be with her. Woo! Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
man,
oh man.
gorgeous, man. I'm. You know what we thought? We were talking about it when we watched Knives Out. I'm hoping she's in the sequels because she's so good. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, okay,
I want to see
let's
more of her. That's my point. I want to see more of her
yeah,
because she is great.
she I think she could be potentially in the sequels for sure.
Well,
Well,
so I
for
think she
both
could be a
James Bond.
star.
Yeah, exactly. I think
Oh,
she could
oh,
be a star.
yeah, she
But
could
I
totally be a
was
star.
going to say, what did you think of? I think we should probably talk about the ending because obviously we've alluded to it that there's closure. What did you think about the ending overall?
Sorry, my dog
Oh,
was freaking out. But
oh, okay.
the ending, the ending, the overall. So we talked earlier about the raft scene cutting to the garage. I feel like, hey, you hate on me all you want. I think it was cheesy as hell having the 6 coworkers sit there and do a little toast. I thought that was, I thought that was bad. That's just me. It was weird. It felt weird watching because it cut right. I think it was the first scene after it went white. The screen went white. I
Yeah.
think.
Um,
So,
yeah.
and the pacing in that scene was not good because they're all quiet and I'm gonna read a scripture from the Bible. I like. And he's one of my nitpicks in this movie, by the way. We'll get to that. Uh,
Okay.
but I wish I'm not gonna take away the last sequence, the last scene. I wish it would have went white and would have went right to the car scene with the daughter. That would have
Okay.
been a perfect ending. I like that. Even
Yeah.
though preferably in these situations, I wish it would have been they would because they had the emotional goodbye over the phone and all that. It would have been nice for it just cut to black,
Yeah.
and have a good standing O. But but I wish it would have if they were gonna cut anything out was that little scene with the coworkers because it didn't work for me. What did you
Okay.
think about it? What do you think about the ending? Your turn. But what do you have anything to say back to me about me not liking the little cheers
I
scene?
mean, it's not really a huge pushback because like it wasn't like the best scene. It was a
Yeah, it could have
little
been
it
better,
was a little it could have been better. I
way
don't think it
better.
was bad. I just think maybe there could have been like an actual funeral or something. That would have been
Yeah,
something better.
yep,
With the British flag over his casket or something. Um,
for
but
sure. Yes,
yeah,
there
I
you
mean,
go.
so that was okay. But yes, the very ending where she's going to tell their daughter about him, I thought that was pretty sweet. Now going back though to how James Bond died. Okay, Obviously, there's kind of a little confusion about him getting poisoned for me because it was like, oh, okay, because I had to think about it. I guess there was a scene before with the girl, James Bond's girl, and Rami Malek, where he showed the vial to her,
Yeah.
and he
Yep.
said something about a strand of hair, implying that their DNA was somehow inside
I
the
missed that
nanobot.
part. It was his like
Yeah,
backup plan. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he had already kind of planned out,
Yeah.
making James Bond or making them the targets for James Bond's nanobots. Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that was a little confusing, and I had to think about it a little bit. And I don't think it was done as smooth as it could have been, but I think it was a really good scene with Daniel Craig talking to her
Yep.
and over the walkie, and I think it was definitely just the way he got blown up by the missiles. I mean, it wasn't
Hey,
like rated
we didn't
R.
see a body. I think he could be alive.
No,
Just saying, he could be alive.
he's atomized. That's why you can't see a body. Okay.
Hey, he could have jumped down a chute into a lead casket. You never
Yeah.
know. It's
No,
James
but
Bond. Crazier stuff's happened.
yeah, it's let's let it die. Okay, let's let him rest in peace.
No, no.
Anyway, go
If
ahead.
you want to, yeah, that was. I thought, like you said in the beginning, there's a conclusion. Never happened before ever. A James Bond dies. Like this is gonna years later, years. How many more James Bonds will be? There's gonna every James Bond iteration. They're gonna look back at this and say, how can we top that? And I think this could change the way this whole franchise could move forward. I mean, I do like that. And like I said earlier, for nitpicks, it could have been done better. Like I said, when he got sprayed in the face and all that could have been done or better, but him sacrificing himself because he was a weapon, how
Yeah,
the movie portrayed it, for his daughter and lady. He couldn't stay around because he touches one thing, someone touches it, it could just travel. It could maybe take 20 years, but it could happen, travel to them or whatever.
yeah.
And do you mind me going? We can cut back to this near the end in a little bit when we close it, but I got a nitpick, and it
Okay.
has to do with you call them nanobots.
Yeah.
I thought they did a piss poor job explaining it. When they tried to explain it, it
Mm,
showed it going into people's blood and destroying them from within, right?
yeah. Well,
They never explained how it transfers from skin. I thought, I'm like, I guess the Blofeld, they did it with Blofeld. She sprayed it on her wrist and he touched her. And
yeah.
I don't get the technology doesn't make sense.
Hmm.
That was a big nitpick because I'm like, either explain it better or do something else because this doesn't work for me. Like, it's supposed to go in you, not like stay. It stays in your system. They didn't say it stay. Oh, it stays on your surface of your skin, and it go. I'm like, so they didn't explain it well. I mean, for me, like I thought it was
Or,
really piss poor explanation. Like it was a cool idea. Like sprays
yeah.
on people, gets in them, and kills them. It's all for DNA. But like, cool,
Well,
it's on him. What's that?
it has to have a specific target though, is what I understood it.
See, you're
So,
confused, right?
well, I think it was probably convoluted the explanation, but
Yeah,
um, if I had to try to rationalize it, my explanation would be that obviously M was the first one to basically produce it, or MI6 was the one that
yeah.
produced the weapon, and it was supposed to be used as a way to go after their targets basically in an efficient manner. So the nanobots don't just kill you unless you're the target. If you're the target, yeah, you're dead. But if you're not the target, you can just be the transfer to the target.
I,
So that
they just they didn't explain if it's through air, like how is it? Because like I said, it gets on you and gets in you, but why? how would something like that stay in your skin cells? I would think it would have to transfer like today with HIV, blood,
Yeah.
right? Like something like that. So I thought it was really weird how they like I said, for me, I'm looking at it at a perspective, it could have been better.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a good reason for him to go bye-bye and
Yeah.
have a good run, sacrificing himself. We Bond dies for the first time ever in franchise history.
Mhm.
Just like I said, convoluted, like you said, could have been done a lot better. Like very confusing.
Yeah, I've seen so many Bond films with convoluted plots that it's just like, to me, it's not even piss poor anymore. It's just kind of standard. And so,
That's
like,
bad.
well, that's the thing is like, whenever it gets to plots like this, I think that's why Casino Royale is probably the best one because it's not as a convoluted plot compared to the other ones because
He's
it's not
Bond.
about,
It's a true Bond movie.
yeah, well, it's not really about world domination as far as I remember. It's more
About
like
money.
it's about money. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So it's not about
Simple.
killing millions of people. So, yeah. But anyway, I see what you're saying. But
Yeah, that's gonna every time I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna unless after the second time watching, then maybe we miss something or I miss something.
yeah,
But it just goes to show, like, Marvel, they have a lot of good villains, but they have a lot of bad ones. How do with the Casino Royale, Skyfall, how do they go from good villains to bad villains? There's a formula. It's Javier Bardem's one, Casino Royale, Thanos. I mean, the list goes. Loki. I guess he's a not really.
yeah,
He goes back and forth, right? But it's been done well. How can we? How can these franchises not learn from their victories, their successes? Because they
yeah.
always go back to me. I know this is not Marvel. This is not a Marvel thing. To me, the most overrated villain of any of the movies is Thor Ragnarok, that the sister. I thought that was a piss poor villain. That's just me. But
Okay.
like I said, compared to how how people say, "Oh, great, great, great," so to me,
Yeah.
overhyped. Like I said, is there an answer, Sterling? How can these successes in films like Skyfall and Infinity War and Endgame fall to the wayside and they go back to bad villains, like
Well,
like
well,
poorly written villains?
yeah. I mean, I think it just shows how hard it is to make movies as far as consistency. So,
God,
and that's not a satisfactory answer, I don't think. But
I
I mean,
know.
it's the one that I can come up with, and but regardless, you can say whatever you want afterwards. But I'm going to give my final thoughts because I really don't have anything else to say.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah. So overall, this is a good conclusion to the 5 film arc, and I think Daniel Craig, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time when it comes to James Bond. I know you disagree, but I just think he encapsulates everything from he encapsulates everything good about the character, and um, I'm gonna miss him a lot for sure playing this role. There'll be some big shoes to fill, and
Henry
I
Cavill, maybe.
Henry Cavill. I mean, he could do it. But no, I think the action's incredible, and that's the main reason I go see these movies is incredible action, beautiful women, which this has, and uh, just kind of badass executions from Bond. I mean, the way he kills
Mhm.
that guy with the eye, that's just there's such a great last kill for Bond. Or one of his last kills, because I think his last kill was Rami Malek, but which I thought that was great the way he killed Rami Malek too. He just like fuck it, just shoots him in the head.
Oh,
Um,
he breaks his arm. How? Oh, that was so
yeah,
cool.
yeah, yeah,
Snaps his arm in half.
So yeah, and then even though I've I didn't like cry, but there was a emotional aspect to the way it kind of built up the ending and ultimately Bond's death. And I think part of that has to do with this is, you know, Daniel Craig's last film for sure, but the actors did a great job executing that scene. And the emotion was definitely there. And there was a finality to it that I definitely felt the impact of it. And so, because of that, overall, it's a success. And I'm really glad I saw it in Dolby Digital because holy shit, there's some, there are some great sequences to watch it in that format. I'll just say that.
Well, one thing, if you want to say something to what I have to say here, it's another nitpick, real quick before I close it. We close it out here
All right.
with Rami Malek's character. They do such a good job, like I said to me, the first half of the movie, maybe even the first 2/3 with him. There was they did not explain his rationale well. It was
Hmm.
irrational. But I mean, like he's like, you're a killer, you know, you kill people, you got a license to kill. Like his motivations were not really, other than his family dying,
Yeah.
were not really well written. I would say if we got a hold of the script, because I'm like every time he would say something like, well, it was kind of like well, you did this, so I'm doing this. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah, so it gives you an excuse to do that. I thought you're doing this to anyway.
Yeah.
It was really weird the motivations they gave him. Like the
Yeah.
first one, the motivation was great. Cool.
Uh-huh.
He built himself up. His family died, and he built an empire in the shadows. Cool, good on you. But
Yeah.
he has the same limp 20 years previous when he tries to kill the girl, and
Mhm.
20 years later saying like they didn't explain that why he was
Well,
limping then and limping like he's 20 years older. He was 20 years younger and had a limp. Like
well,
what?
I think I agree with you because um, the motivation to sell, to manufacture and sell the weapons, I don't think that motivation was fleshed out nearly
Oh
enough
no.
compared to what we got with his motivation with the main girl. And so yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. I think I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. I kept on thinking about it through even every time like at the halfway point on, every time he would say something like especially it was start. I think it started with when the daughter is next to him and he's
Yeah.
petting her hair, and or when he was talking to the mom earlier, like this doesn't connect.
Right.
Like yeah.
Yeah.
Then anyway, another
Well,
nitpick for me.
well,
Go
okay,
ahead.
wait. You had mentioned earlier you had a nitpick with him. Is that right?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I thought that was a betrayal of the character. Be, when he was acting all weird when we first see him, like
Mhm.
or the first two scenes with him, I'm like what is going on? And he's shooing away James Bond. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like I thought it was a, a betrayal of the character that M
Yeah.
that we saw from him in the previous films.
Huh.
Like totally, yeah. I guess you're like, well, he's in a stressful situation, like, but it's James Bond who anyway. I thought it was
Well,
kind of weird how he was trying to, yeah, shoo him away. Yeah.
I like Ray Fiennes though. I think he's a great actor.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yep. Yeah. For
but wait,
sure.
what else? What do you have to say for your final thoughts, Trey?
Well, so what I'll say is, oh man, there's a lot to this movie. Like there's probably more I could think of, but that was the one thing with the villain. With it didn't compute to me about his motivation. So overall, I think the villain started out great and just trickled down to mediocre. I won't say bad, mediocre. But man, this was a great send off for Daniel Craig. Man, what a I was kind of speechless. It wasn't a perfect movie. Obviously, we've been nitpicking it like crazy tonight, but action great. One of the best action James Bonds there has ever been, I think. There's some good sequences in Casino Royale, but this one had a lot of sequences that were great.
Mhm.
Um, but man, overall, this movie was a great send off. Something fresh and different with the franchise, and they finished it. They didn't trip over themselves. They like we were talking about earlier. How do people not learn from their mistakes? But I think they learned they kind of do it like we go back, like I say, Marvel, they kind of focused up on Bond in this one, especially because it was his last one,
Mhm.
and they did it well. I do like the very very ending. I like that with with his daughter and with cheesy. Like, I'm gonna tell you a story about Bond, James Bond. Like,
Yeah.
come on, really? That was a little cheesy, but yeah, great ending to Danny Craig, one of the best to ever do it. I'm a Roger Moore guy. Hate on me in the comments if you want. But yeah, so he did it. This is a great. I love to. I'll watch all five. I will watch these again. There are some movies where you watch it and you're like, yeah, I don't like with Venom, the Venom movies. Like, I don't need to go watch those again. Maybe the
Yeah.
first one, but like this one, I'm gonna go watch these for years to come. So great job. I mean, kudos to Danny Craig. We're gonna hopefully see him in a lot more movies moving forward, but not James Bond. But he's a hell of an actor and great send off.
Well, that's all she wrote. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And we want those comments. We even if it's comments against Trey about his wrong choice for Roger Moore as the GOAT, it helps the algorithm, so helps us get the views.
Wrong
So
choice. I thought we were all friends here. There is no wrong choice.
hey,
That's
we're just schmucks. That's it.
hater.
Anyway,
You're the hater.
anyway, like and subscribe and tune in next time where we'll watch a movie just like every week. All right, cut it.